It's Jessica Cooter here. For this blog post, I decided to choose option number 5, which deals with flipping instruction. Before discussing the pros and cons of flipping instruction, I thought we'd talk about the actual definition first. According to Vanderbilt Center for Teaching, a flipped classroom means that students gain first exposure, and this is a quote, students gain first exposure to new material outside of class, usually via reading or lecture videos, and then use class time to do the harder work of assimilating that knowledge, perhaps through problem solving, discussion, or debates, end quote. And that's from Brame. I'll include that in my references. This approach takes full advantage of the technology that we have available to us to save precious classroom time for reinforcing ideas and using strategies that promote higher level learning as opposed to using that time for lectures. Based on the relatively small amount of research I conducted this week, it seems there are quite a few pros and cons to the approach. The idea of a flipped classroom is relatively new, but it has fallen into the spotlight recently due to high-profile articles about it, including one in the New York Times by Fitzpatrick, which I have in the references as well. Of course, as we know, however, just because something has a buzz around it doesn't necessarily mean that it's effective or worth anyone's time. So let's look at the pros and cons I have here. The pros, as mentioned before, flipped instruction allows for more time in the class for reinforcement, discussion, questions, so on and so forth, more so than a traditional classroom. Second, teachers have more opportunity to address individual student needs, which is important. 3, students have more time to interact with each other. When you have lecture, obviously there's no interaction there. When you take out that component, there's more time for interactive strategies. It uses technology more, which is where the field is going. And then the last pro that I have here, students can always revisit the lecture again and again online, which is great. They can stop, they can pause, they can take notes, they can take a bathroom break, whatever they need to do at home while they're watching or listening to the lecture. On to the cons. There are a few cons as well. I think it's imperative for students, or one of the cons is that it's imperative that students listen, read, and or watch the instruction assigned to them before class. Obviously, if they don't do that, which I feel like would be a tendency for students, if they don't do that, the actual class time wouldn't be much benefit to them. Another con, students can't be monitored during the instruction time at home. I know a lot of times in my classroom during my own lectures or PowerPoint presentations, I have to constantly get my kids back into the game and focused. You can't do that with flipped instruction. And then lastly, since the instruction is student-led, lack of motivation may derail the student's efforts, which is pretty self-explanatory. Again, those references, I'll have those listed in the transcript on my blog posts. Looking forward to the discussion, and I guess I'll see you guys next week. Thanks.